Melbourne families who lost loved ones in the Bali bombings are now preparing to mark the tragedy's 10th year anniversary. A decade on, they're still grieving as they make the heartbreaking journey to Indonesia.
Randall Lee doesn't want the pain of losing two brothers and his pregnant sister-in-law in the Bali bombings to ever fade.
I'd hate for that pain to go away because to me that would say that you're starting to forget about them, and obviously never want to forget about them.
On Friday, it will be 10 years since Justin, his wife Stacey and Aaron died in the Sari Club blast. After the attacks, the Grovedale electrician rushed to Bali hoping to find his family alive, but flew home the only child left in the Lee family.
So you did really think that, stepping off that plane, that your life was over. That, it's probably good for Mum that, and Dad and that they didn't lose a whole lot of us.
Mr Lee is among thousands of Australians returning to Bali for the 10-year anniversary.
Might be strange, but I don't know how to describe it. I handle it a lot better emotionally if I'm over there because it's always going to be a part of me, that place now.
Of the 88 Australians who died in the terror attacks, 22 were from Victoria. Their names now inscribed around pools of water here at Melbourne's Bali Memorial in Carlton. Jan Laczynski would have been at the Sari Club the night of the bombings, but by chance took an early flight home to Melbourne. 5 mates weren't so lucky.
When the phone wasn't ringing, when you weren't getting text messages, you knew in your heart that they're all gone. But
years later, through grief, he gained a family.
I was lighting some candles outside the Sari Club, like I always do. Then I saw this pretty girl just walk by and we started talking, and the rest is history. We got married 12 months later.
For this man, Bali has brought heartbreak and happiness. Emily Rice, 10 News.
And 10 News will have a special live coverage of the memorial marking the 10th anniversary of the Bali bombings this Friday morning on 10.
Welcome back to Breakfast for this Thursday. Well, tomorrow marks 10 years since 202 innocent lives were lost in Bali. 8 of those were Australians. Many are travelling to the island holiday paradise to commemorate the 10 years. Emily Rice is in Kuta in Bali, joins us now. Emily, there has been an increase to the terror threat there. What can you tell us?
Well, yesterday, Bali's chief police officer came out and said that he had credible intelligence indicating a threat directed at VIPs and dignitaries attending the service tomorrow. Of course, that includes our Prime Minister, Julia Gillard. Now, some officials in recent hours are trying to back away from that. They're trying to ease people's fears, but certainly there are 1,500 extra police and soldiers that will be deployed across the island, focusing on the memorial site tomorrow. So obviously a big show of force. But it's not just dignitaries, of course, that the concern is for. It's also for the people attending the services, the ordinary people, the ordinary Australians who are here, including hundreds of survivors. And I'm joined now by 2 survivors of the 2002 attacks, Eric DeHart and Phil Britten. Thanks for joining us this morning. Both of you have some amazing similar stories, very sad stories. Now, Eric, you were here with your football team. Just tell us, who were you here with and how many mates did you lose?
Oh, there was 11 of us. We just came over an end-season football trip. It wasn't a particularly successful season. That's probably why there wasn't more of us here. But we were just here to party on, have a good time, enjoy each other's company for the week we're going to be here. As simple as that. Photos, laughs, drinks, more laughs. Hopefully the odd girl, but laughs.
And so Coogee Dolphins Rugby League Club, unfortunately you came over a pretty happy team, but you had the indescribable task of having to identify 5 of your mates. 6 people were lost. I mean, how have you coped in the time, 10 years since then?
It's been very difficult because obviously Bali's been so much in the news over the last 10 years, and every time Bali was in the news, then there's the photo of the Sari Club up in flames and your memories come flooding back. So it's been in some ways it's been a quick 10 years, in other ways it's been a very, very long 10 years.
Now, Phil, similarly, you were here with the Kingsley Football Club from Perth. You lost 7 mates, but you've been back several times to Bali.
Sure.
How do you feel about the terror threat that was released yesterday? Are you worried?
Yeah, look, educated risk. I think I'm here with my family. It's sort of like I'm here for business, There's something that I have to accomplish, which is facing some demons and getting over some emotional barriers, I suppose. So it's just another notch in the belt. 5-year anniversary, 10-year anniversary, 20-year anniversary. I think personally, directly, people who are directly involved are going to feel the same way.
Well, Phil and Eric, we've only told a really, really tiny snippet of your story, but thank you so much for being here at this hour, and all the best for tomorrow and the rest of your stay here.
Thank you.
Absolutely, Emily. Our thoughts go out to the Coogee Dolphins and the Kingsley Football Club. But while you're still there, Em, what's the vibe like there in Kuta? Is Bali well aware that this is all going on, or is it resonating just more with Australians?
I think it is resonating more with Australians. I mean, Indonesia has had to deal with terror threats on an ongoing basis since 2002. But obviously, there is a concern being the 10-year anniversary and having so many international guests. And as I mentioned earlier, they are backing away from some of those threats. So I think the Indonesian government really wants to put on a show of force here to say we are on top of this problem. So I think by tomorrow, people will be feeling a little bit more calm.
And returning to our top story now, and tomorrow's anniversary, commemorating the 10th anniversary of the Bali bombings. Paddy's bar was one of the places to feel the full force of the attack back in 2002. 10's Emily Rice went back to see what remains.
Strolling along busy Legian Street, it's hard to comprehend the horror of what happened here 10 years ago when 2 bombs went off in the heart of Kuta, turning this party strip into a war zone. The first bomb went off in Paddy's bar just after 11 p.m. The site where Paddy's once stood is now a shopping complex, including a surf shop selling Australian brands. But Paddy's was rebuilt around a year later, and it's about 50 metres down the road. Wyan is the manager of the new Paddy's and was working in the original bar in 2002. He admits terror is sometimes on his mind.
Still scared.
During the day, Paddy's is closed, but it really starts pumping after dark, where it remains a really popular place for young Australians. The second bomb went off less than a minute after the Paddy's explosion, just across the road outside the Sari Club. This is where the Sari Club was. It's now just a barren and really ugly car park. Now, there were moves to try and create a peace park in this area, but so far that hasn't happened. The only real reminder of what occurred here are these tributes posted by family and friends of those who lost their lives. But there is a more fitting and formal tribute just across the road. On a large, intricate Balinese marble carving, the names of all the people who died that night. Right in the hustle and bustle of Kuta, the memorial stands as a solemn reminder of the horror that occurred here in 2002. And since we've been here, several Australian tourists have come by to take photos and pay their respects.
A surreal feeling, really, to think that those people were standing here enjoying a holiday like we are, and it's gone. I mean, it's something that we're going to think about for the rest of our lifetime.
Now, 10 years on, there are still many stories of that night that haven't been widely told. One group of Aussie mates was caught up in the Kuta bombings. What they did that night had become a quiet legend of courage and mateship. Emily Rice caught up with some of the heroes of that terrible night.
They look like just another bunch of Aussie mates holidaying in Bali, hamming it up for the camera.
I love surfing boy! I love surfing boy!
But just after this footage was taken on October 12, 2002, the party turned to pure terror for these 8 Perth teenagers. They were in the Sari Club when the second bomb went off.
Call it luck, or, you know, someone's looking over us.
We're very, very fortunate and very thankful to this day.
10 years on, they are back in Bali to remember those who weren't so lucky.
We could have so easily been one of the names on the board.
We're here for each other, and then on the other hand, we're here to mourn the people that passed away and didn't make it home to their loved ones.
5 of them were awarded bravery medals for saving each other and strangers. Daniel Bones Smith carried 2 Japanese girls they were parting with earlier to safety, and a Balinese man they had just met helped get them all to hospital. They survived, but no one's heard from them since.
It's be amazing to see them, just to see that they're, still going all right.
While these men saved several lives, they're not too keen on being called heroes. They're just happy to be here and able to tell their story.
That's all it was, just a bunch of mates.
A decade later, the boys have become men.
10 years on, we've grown up a lot.
But their bond will never be broken. In Bali, Emily Rice, 10 News.
There are emotional scenes in Bali this morning ahead of today's memorial service marking the 10th anniversary since the bombings that killed 202 people. For more, we're joined now by our reporter Emily Rice, who is in Bali for us. Emily, can you run through what's happening there today?
Well, Tash, around 3,000 people will gather at the GWK Cultural Park. It's a large cultural park just outside Kuta, and they'll be joined by dignitaries from 22 countries, including Prime Minister Julia Gillard, former Prime Minister John Howard, and there'll be a real Australian flavour throughout the ceremony, which starts 11 o'clock Australian time. We'll hear the Australian national anthem. Country singer John Williamson will also play a tribute song, and importantly, the names of the 202 victims will be read out and floral tributes laid. It's expected to be a very sombre and moving service.
Well, there are so many tragic stories that emerged from the 12th of October 2002, the day that 88 Australians lost their lives in the Bali bombings. Emily Rice has met two amazing women who have shown tremendous courage and strength over the last decade.
10 years have passed since Maria Kotranakis lost her sisters Elizabeth and Dimmy. But every day she wishes they were alive to hear her say,
apart from how much I miss them, how much I love them.
Holidaying in Bali on the night of October 12, 2002, Maria planned to go to the Sari Club with her sisters and cousins, but by chance went back to their hotel with a migraine.
If my twin sister would have told me one more time, just come for one drink, I would have been there.
She had no idea two bombs had ripped through Kuta until their mother called the next morning. Days later, Maria had to tell her family back in Sydney, Dimmy, Elizabeth and two of her cousins had been killed.
You can't sugarcoat it. Like just saying, oh, I just said that they're not coming back alive.
Her sadness will never subside, but she doesn't want the world to feel sorry for her. Maria's parents, her greatest source of strength.
If they can bury two children and they can get up every morning and smile, well then so can I.
Over the past decade, she's returned to Bali many times, a place of much pain and peace.
Come that night of being where they were killed, it makes everything okay. Just okay.
Many family and friends of those who died here take some comfort in knowing that despite the horror of that night, many victims spent their final days amongst friends, having fun.
To hear you laugh, to hear you cry, or just a chance to say goodbye.
Perth mother June Courtine also lost loved ones in the Sari Club, twin daughters Jane and Jenny. She too finds solace back in Bali.
It's a feeling of calm when I go up there. I know that Jane and Jenny were enjoying themselves when they were up there.
After the bombings, she travelled to Kuta to help Balinese survivors recover and rebuild their lives.
A lot of the people that were actually killed and injured were the breadwinners for their families. With the breadwinners gone, they had no money. They had no way of living.
She donated linen, clothing, books for children and sewing machines so families could develop their own dressmaking businesses.
Both of them would like to say thank you very much for the people who gave the machines to them.
June hopes the 10th anniversary will bring some healing.
I don't think there'll be as many tears this time, but just acceptance that they're gone but not forgotten.
And for families and friends, forever missed.
Well, both June and Maria join us now from Bali. Thank you both so much, very much for your time today. You've both been grieving now for 10 years. June, I'll begin with you. You had to bury your two beautiful girls who we just saw in the story there. How is today, 10 years on, the memorial today, going to be different to all the ones that you have participated in before?
I think that possibly it will be the last time that I will come to the memorial in Bali. I feel so sad, but I want to meet the people that went through the same as what I did.
You said there, we just saw in the story, June, that you have met with acceptance.
Yes, I have, yes. Acceptance that they've gone and that I've got to get on with my own life.
Well, you seem very much so to be getting on with your own life.